This is my report about Carol Gilligan's moral development theory. This is Carol Gilligan. She was born on November 28, 1936, in New York City. She graduated summa cum laude from Swarthmore College in 1950. She went on work at Radcliffe University, receiving a master in clinical psychology in 1960. She earned her doctorate in social psychology from Harvard University in 1964. She began teaching at Harvard in 1967 with renowned psychologist Erik Erikson. In 1970, she became a research assistant from Lawrence and Kohlberg. Kohlberg is known for his research in moral development and his stage theory of moral development, justice, and right, while Gilligan's primary focus came to be moral development in girls. Her interest to this dilemma grew as she interviewed young men thinking about enlisting for the Vietnam War and women who were contemplating abortions. So, her theory was only focused on women. Theory background. While teaching at Harvard in 1968, Gilligan worked with Erik Erikson and Lawrence Kohlberg, two of the leading theorists in mainstream psychology. She criticized both Erikson's theory of identity due to it reflecting his own life, and Kohlberg's idea about moral dilemmas, which mirrored his own experiences and were ultimately biased against women. She found that Kohlberg's investigation concluded that women scored lower and less developed than that of men. Her research found that neither theory represented women's identity and experience. Medea 2009. So according to Medea 2009, Carol Gilligan found out that there's a gender bias about Kohlberg's moral development theory because women scored lower and less developed than men. There's a gender bias because Kohlberg's theory mostly he prioritized the rights of men than women. But Carol Gilligan's moral development theory, proved that women development was set within the context of caring and relationships rather than in the abstract set of rights or rules. Gilligan noticed that approximately 15 of 25 women who signed up for Kohlberg's class on moral development dropped. Only about 5 out of 50 men that enrolled were left. Gilligan found that women in the class posed difficult questions of human suffering that could not be adequately addressed by moral theories. So, it's clear here that there's a gender bias of Kohlberg's theory because he prioritized men than women. So that's why Carol Gilligan wrote a paper about moral development entitled In a Different Voice, Women's Conception of Self and Morality, included interview notes from the women who left the class about their moral perspective. Hickman, 1997. Gilligan found that a morality of care can serve in place of the morality of justice and rights earlier theorized by Kohlberg. She views morality of care and morality of justice as distinct yet also connected. Young, 1999. Her morality of care can be also represented as morality of justice. Morality of care and morality of justice must be equal. That's for her views, because it is probably connected, according to Yang. She outlines 3 stages of moral development, progressing from selfish to social or conventional morality, and finally to post-conventional or principled morality. Carol Gilligan has been instrumental in research on adolescence, moral development, women's development, and conflict resolution. As a feminist, scholar, professor, and author, she has helped to form a new direction for women. In her moral development theory, there are 3 stages. We will discuss it later, but it said here that Gilligan has been instrumental in research on adolescence, moral development, women's development, and conflict resolution. So, she became also a role model of women's adolescence because of her theory. So here are the Gilligan stages of the ethic of care. Women must learn to deal to their own interest and to the interest of others. She thinks that women hesitate to judge because they see the complexities of relationships. So her theory, her stages is all about relationships. So here is the stage 1, pre-conventional. The goal is individual survival. Transition is from selfness to responsibility to others. Conventional. Goal is self-sacrifice is goodness. Transition is from goodness to truth that she is a person too. And last, post-conventional. Goal is principle of non-violence, do not hurt others or self. Pre-conventional. Person only cares for themselves in order to ensure survival. This is how everyone is a children. In this transitional phase, the person's attitude is considered selfish and the person sees the connection between themselves and others. So in pre-conventional, the person is selfish because he only cares for himself or herself, and that is because of his or her own survival. Conventional responsibility, more care shown for other people. Gilligan said this is shown in the role of mother and wife, situation something carries on ignoring needs of self. So in conventional stage, person is more care shown for others, so like mother and wife. That is the example of conventional. Post-conventional acceptance of the principle of care for self and others is shown. Some people never reach this level. So in post-conventional, care of self and others, but some people never reach this level because we only care for ourselves because we want to more more care for ourselves than others. Gilligan stages of ethic of care, levels and characteristics. Level 1, orientation to individual survival. Individual survival. So that is the first stage. First transition is selfness to responsibility, connection and responsibility to others. Because of selfishness, you can be responsible to yourself and you can be responsible also to others because if like your group. Level 2, goodness, a self-sacrifice, reliance on others and social acceptance. That is on stage 2. Second transition, goodness is the truth, questioning comparative values of self versus others. Level 3, morality of non-violence, heightened understanding of choice between own needs and care for others. Do not harm others or self. That's all.